to Gal now, who is going to teach us all about Israel and the wonderful destination.
So thank you very much for having us here. And I'm very thrilled to be here because it's another part of a good agreement that we have with travel brands. And we hope that we will be able soon to welcome more and more tourists from Canada to Israel. It's been a weird couple of months now with this pandemic. I came here actually just a year ago, of which half a year was without any travel at all. So I'm in a good starting point now where every tourist will count. So as they say, my name is Gal and I'm the Israeli director for Canada. I'm happy for the opportunity, and I do believe that we will see some good trends in the near future. I want to start with sharing some news about the Israel status and the pandemic issues. So after launching travel successfully and the hotels reopened very well for the domestic travel, we implemented new protocol and procedures in order to make tourism safe. And the sense of safety is something that we highlight very much. We understand that the next phase or the new wave of tourists after the pandemic, the security and the health would be crucial in order to really kick off anything like that. So we worked very closely with the Ministry of Health to make sure that every visitor will feel safe. And we are making the same thing for the international tourists as well. Just this week, the Ministry of Health announced that we are setting up the protocols to welcome tourists from green countries, hopefully by September, and if not by October. So that's a very positive news. We believe that those protocols that were implemented on the domestic travel will be the ones to make a difference when it comes to international travel. And now we are working very closely, and we hope that we will have some positive news in the near future. And we recognize that this big sense of insecurity, and I convince you to the industry that are resilient, and we already see the first fruits of the demand coming back. People are asking us what's going on, how can we travel, and when can we travel to Israel? And we are happy to hold off the demand, but we hope that we will be able to welcome everyone in open arms in the near future. So, and I really hope, because I remember when I just arrived here, it was the end of 2019, it was the summertime, and I met so many from the airline companies and from the tour operators and travel agents that sent so many to Israel in 2019, with 100,000 Canadians who chose Israel as their destination, and the testimonials were awesome and great. So I believe that in the near future, we will see people traveling under the new normal situation, and now I'm ready to kick off for the real thing that we dealt. So I'm here basically to share the story of the world's biggest live museum, Israel, the Holy Land. The pandemic teaches us many things, but one of them is that life is short and we need to make every second matter. Now, the values of visiting Israel are numerous. Iconic holy sites to make sure the trip will be unforgettable, great beaches to utilize the weather, diverse culinary scene, one-of-a-kind experiences like the kibbutz, the Dead Sea, UNESCO sites, and more. And why Israel is so unique? I guess it's the combination of landscape, rich history, and culture within a small area. Now, for Canadians, it's hard to comprehend how small Israel is. Imagine living in a country in the size of Lake Erie or Lake Ontario. That's the size of Israel, where you can go from one place to the other within a couple of hours, no flights needed, covers such a diverse landscape in short time. Tel Aviv, the Galilee, Dead Sea, and Jerusalem are all within a couple of hours drive of one each other. Now, Israel is kind of the place where you visit and enjoy and indulge every second. And more important, it lasts for a lifetime. This is the only place in the world where you can walk in the footsteps of Jesus in the Via della Rosa in the morning and party in a nightlife, in a high-end, new vibe nightclub in the Tel Aviv in the afternoon, where you can eat authentic, traditional, family secret recipe hummus for lunch and have a perfect French, new-style molecular creme brulee for dessert, where history meets modernity, where East meets West, where mystery always surrounds you, wherever you will go. Now, I will share with you today photos from all over Israel, but my challenge is big because I want to make it focus. I will elaborate more about Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, but I encourage you to further explore Israel virtually and later actually visit Israel. And of course, you are more than welcome to reach out to us for any further information and anything that you need from us. When I was a child, I was constantly amazed by people who I saw coming to Israel and literally kissing the land, thrilled and fascinated by the rich history, culture, and ancient roots that goes thousands of years back. I remember walking with Yitzhak, he was my grandfather, in the old city of Jerusalem, in the narrow corridors where you can feel the breeze mildew and dampness due to the humidity in the air, watching the green weeds between the cracks in the walls of the old city stones sharing their 1,000 years of existence. We used to sit silently together on a small wall and watch people passing by, rushing with their groceries back home, other pilgrimage on the way to church for a Sunday service, or just Orthodox Jews on the way to the synagogue. Later, when we passed by the Machane Yehuda food market, we were always overwhelmed by the mixture of scents, herbs, and spices from stalls that have been inherited for many years, with merchants calling for everyone to come in. You keep feeling like walking back in time. Grandpa Yitzhak, as I used to call him, shared with me anecdotes on every place about the Holy Sepulchre and the family that keeps the key of the church for decades, the same key going from one generation to the other, and they are holding the key by, I would say, an old regulation from the church. The Garden of Tomb and why it is so significant for so many. On the walls of Jerusalem and how they've been rebuilt throughout history. The Shiloach Tunnel and the City of David and its importance to the Jewish, and how significant and meaningful was the discovery of it not so long ago. Now, Jerusalem is magnificent, that people can get lost in the city very easily, to be puzzled from the history and actually get what's called Jerusalem syndrome. There is actually a syndrome of people who are getting lost and losing their minds off in Jerusalem. And I remember a specific story to showcase how unique the Jerusalem story is, of a small fabric store of Abu Khalif family. It's right next to the Garden of Tomb, and he is recognized for selling probably the best quality fabrics from Morocco, Syria, Egypt, and India. His family moved to Jerusalem in the 1930s, where he replaced his father in managing the family store. When he and his brother decided to renovate and to expand their store to another piece of the street, during the renovation, they found a 1,300-year-old Crusader church. Together with the archaeological authority, they built a huge glass floor all over the new renovation part, where people can just come in and impressed by the lovely finding. When I'm saying that Israel is like a museum, that's exactly what I mean. Wherever you will go, you will find a piece of history. Everything keeps unveils as you will go, and all the time you can see that. Now, every day something new pops up, and you can be a part of the exploration. Just a month ago, the archaeological department, together with some archaeological students, it was used to be with tourists as well, found a new mosaic and a new synagogue, 1,000-year-old, next to Bet Shean. A year ago, just before I came here, a new ancient city, 20 minutes north of Tel Aviv, was found, coined 6,000 years ago. The history is a part of the Israeli DNA, and I think that that's what makes it so significant. Every day something pop up, and I think that no other place in the world offer you the unique opportunity to be part of the story. But Jerusalem, as overwhelming as it is, and I can tell you that I miss very much to visit, to go to Jerusalem, to walk within those narrow corridors of the Machane Yehuda market, to smell those scents of and the smells of the fresh knafe, which is a cheese pastry, an Arab one that is just, you know, it's a dessert. It's something off the charts. Or to just walk and to find this new fish and chip stands that give it Israeli style flourishing, and or just strolling within the old city parts. That's something that blow your minds. But again, Jerusalem, it's not the only place to visit Israel. Far from that. Actually, it's only one piece of the puzzle. Tel Aviv is the main center for business and modern life. And while Jerusalem is associated to the Holy Land, Tel Aviv is known for the startup nation part of Israel. Not many know, but Tel Aviv has an incredibly interesting story. Settlers from Jaffa, one of the ancient cities in Israel, coined about 1800 BC, wished to build a new Jewish Hebrew settlement outside of Jaffa. They identified the great opportunity with a city on the Mediterranean, great weather, even better beaches, a lot of potential. Later on in the 1920s, a little bit after, architect immigrants from Germany who graduated from the Bauhaus School of Architecture built a unique and one-of-a-kind neighborhood, which is the biggest outside of Germany. Over 4,000 apartments and buildings in Neve Tzedek, the White City, with a new and a unique kind of style to interpret the Bauhaus style that they learned in Germany, making it the most gorgeous neighborhood to stroll in Tel Aviv. There is just a different kind of vibe that keep you entertained and overwhelmed by the beautiful sights and buildings that you cannot find anywhere else outside of Germany. Now, I think that the story of the Bauhaus and the White City of Tel Aviv is only a symptom of the entrepreneurial and creativity DNA of the city. This is why Tel Aviv is the city that never sleeps, the vegan capital of the world, the LGBTQ capital of the world, has the highest number of startups per capita in the world, and more than that. I'm missing walking in the Rothschild Boulevard, smelling the Mediterranean scent everywhere you will go, taking a bike and riding while sipping short espresso in one of the small coffee shops. In Israel, because we have this, I guess, entrepreneur DNA, everyone wants to be independent. Everyone wants to make his own mark on the economy, his own mark on his neighborhood. And this is why you see so many small and medium businesses flourishing. And as a government, we are nurturing this aspect. And this is why it's so unique. So you won't find only big chains like McDonald's. The really interesting thing is to go and to explore by foot, by bicycle, or just to take the train and to really explore the land. I used to talking to a tourist, taking interest of where they've been and their future plans. Now, going to Tel Aviv, from the Tel Aviv port to the promenade, listen to a light music by a local musician while indulging some of the fresh fish that's been brought by the fishermen in early dawn to the food market, to the fish food market, was my habit with my wife. The innovativeness and creativity, which is so characteristic of Tel Aviv, is apparent in every part of the city. When it comes to culture and arts, you can find everything you would like. Apps for culinary tours across the city, graffiti tours, tons of small and independent art gallery. The wonderful thing about the wonderful Tel Aviv Museum of Art and the Hulon world-renowned design museum. Everyone can find what they like, and from an easy going to an high-end and sophisticated exhibitions. But you cannot speak about Tel Aviv and Israel without focusing on culinary. To begin with, that is one of the main reasons why so many are coming to Israel. The mixture of cultures and the combination of the Israeli chutzpah and the creativity makes Israeli cuisine anything but regular. The best food markets in the world where you can have delicious pastries, hummus and Arab dessert, many diverse restaurants. In some, you will find traditional eclectic food from around the world, soup, stews, and more unique dishes. In others, you can find new interpretation for original kitchens. Tel Aviv has it all, including creative, hip, original, award-winning culinary scene that fits every preference and budget. From sophisticated modern gourmet chef restaurants to simply local traditional ones, it even voted as one of the top destinations for vegan travelers. Yes, Tel Aviv is the vegan capital of the world, and believe me, you will eat vegan food that you won't believe it's vegan. And specifically if you love food markets, and I must tell you that I love food markets, going to Tel Aviv and to the Carmel market and Machane Yehuda market, will blow mind yourself. And now, a small tip, take your time. Some of the city's culinary gems are hidden between those Carmel market stalls. Tel Aviv is I guess, the positive sin city of Israel, where everyone can satisfy his guilty pleasure, whether it's food, culture, sea and sun, or high tech. Now, the best thing about Israel is that everything is very close. Depict yourself skiing in the morning and the next day walking in the hot Israeli desert. The luxury of the size holds the opportunity that any other destination requires a flight or a really, really long drive. Personally, I just took a vacation to BC and Alberta, beside the fact that it's overwhelming and it's amazing. In Israel, to see the green meadows of the Galilee or the Golan Heights region would be 3 hours away from you if you will be in Tel Aviv. To go from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, it's 30 minutes. To go from Jerusalem to the Dead Sea, it's another 30 minutes. Everything is so close that I guess it's the time that a Canadian and a Torontonian commute in the morning. Usually as a tourist, we need to prioritize if we want a sunescape destination, a cultural one, discovering layers of history, or something else. In Israel, you have it all in one long haul. Imagine a destination that give you the opportunity to combine all of those values in one short haul. Everywhere you will go, English is very well spoken. The signs and information is in English. Everywhere you will go, you will find people that know how to speak English and to communicate very well. Actually, Israelis, we love to practice our English. So wherever they will hear you speaking in English, you will be probably get approached by an Israeli that just want to speak with you a little bit and to take an interest of why you come here and where you are from. And Israeli diverse landscapes hold the opportunity for a trip of a lifetime in one long haul. The combination of the most holiest and historic landmarks on the planet with the great beaches and weather, green meadows of the north and the fabulous Negev desert. The north is flourishing with many opportunities to elevate the journey. The Sea of Galilee, Nazareth, Haifa, and the Baha'i Shrine, Akko, wonderful port, city with the Crusader roots and rich history. With the diversity of activities experienced from rafting, hiking, and biking, archaeological digging for all ages and all the time. The Dead Sea will shock everyone who's coming to Israel. That is one of the main reasons that so many choose in Israel as their destination. It's just something off the charts that not a lot of people know of. Israel is the ideal destination for everyone and all the time. It won't be a trip, a visit. It would be the best ride of your life, a journey of a lifetime. Originally, I wanted to share with you some videos just to try and capture the significance trip or a journey to Israel, but I will send it later on via Merit and my friends here. And now I am more than happy to pass the torch to Lina to share about travel brands and their product.
Thank you so much, Gal. Thank you. Good afternoon. You know what? I totally agree with the Ministry of Tourism. You know, you've seen a slide where it says Israel is everything all the time for anyone. And you know, Travel Brand Exotic Journeys is there to assist your Merit Travel consultant to offer you the product that will, you know, the best suit your needs. So Exotic Journey established in 1977. We are a division of Travel Brands, one of the Canada Leaders Travel Group, and we are one-stop shop for our travel agent community in Canada. Next. We just launched our annual brochure just on the spring in March. So that brochure is currently available on our website. So you can see on the screen www.exoticjourneys.com. And I'm sure as well, you know, if you are in contact with your travel, Merit Travel consultant, they can always send it to you as well. Also, because the brochure itself and the website, in fact, there are tools to help you in the planification of your trip. As a tour operator, we work exclusively with the travel agency community. We work with our sister company, Merit Travel. So definitely, if you wish to have more information and personalize even more your trip to Israel, please make sure to be in contact with the Merit Travel. Next, as Exotic Tour, we offer really unique travel experience with product that really cater to every type of traveler. So whether you wish to travel independently or with a group, or maybe with a private guide, we definitely have the perfect vacation offer for you that will suit your needs and your interests. So by working with your Merit Travel Agency, they would come to us and we will make sure, you know, to offer you a personalized itinerary if needed to really meet what you're looking for. We work with more than 80 airlines around the world, and we also offer like over 60,000 hotels worldwide. We work with the top car rental companies in the world. We also provide tickets for tourist attractions. So, and while you're on destination, we also can do transfers. So for a guided group tour, the minimum of clients required is only 2, and it guaranteed the departure, so which is quite good. Israel has always been a standout destination, so whether you are after a spiritual quest, or maybe you're in a search of culinary or cultural discovery, you're there for beach holiday, or maybe a combined culture, culinary discovery with a beach stay or eco trips, definitely Israel has everything to offer. So in our brochure and on our website, you will find pre-built itinerary that you see on the screen right now, which give you the opportunity to discover the historic coastline, the ancient ruins, sorry about my pronunciation, the sacred landmark, and for sure, you know, you will have outstanding scenery. And all this, you can see this in 8 to 9 days tour, because as Gal mentioned, I mean, everything is so accessible, not far from each other. So that's really pleasant. And even when you do a tour, a guided tour, you don't spend your hours and hours on the bus. So you travel and you see a lot and a lot and a lot in a day when you visit Israel. Just to mention a few more, I know Gal has covered a lot, but just to mention Gal next, one of the things that I have had the pleasure to see as well when I went to Israel is see the mountain top plateau of Masada. So, you know, overlooking the Dead Sea, you don't see it on the picture, but if it would have been on the other side, you would have seen it. You, by ascending by cable car, as you see, you will explore the site. We'll see its synagogue and synagogue and bathhouse. Next, and then the Dead Sea that Gal has spoken about is really, as he said, a unique place in the world. As he has mentioned, some people would travel to Israel for the Dead Sea, and it's true. And it's the lowest point on the earth, 420 meters, below the sea. It's spectacular. So for many people, and it was for me, it was impossible, to go to Israel and do a little dip in the saltiest water of the world. So I did that. So your body float, you've got to experience this. So I did that when I had the opportunity to visit Israel in 2012. And you probably have seen me when Gal was speaking. I was like this, always shaking my head. Everything that he said, I felt like, when I was there, all that feeling I got when I visited Israel, and I just can't wait to go back. Next. So one of the things as well, you're seeing on the screen the Church of Nativity or Basilica of Nativity. It stands in Bethlehem, and that's where Jesus was born. If you look on the right side of the screen, the 14-point silver star on the floor is really, it marks the place of birth of Jesus. So it's special feeling. It's hard to express how we feel when, going back when we were young and, at school, what we heard and being there and experience it. It's phenomenal. Next, we and as well, yes, for sure, in Haifa, you've got that gorgeous Jordan Garden of Bahia. And if you would be at the top, what you would see, in fact, it's a panoramic view of the city. It's stunning. It's so nice. Next. I think I went one slide over maybe, so but just for you to know, it's possible to do a tour as well and combine Israel with Petra. So when you do this on day 7, from Tel Aviv airport, you take a short flight. Again, you could, if you are with a tour, you will take a flight. It's an hour flight, and you will arrive to the Red Basin. So arriving in the Red Basin next, you will see that there was that picture of the beach. So there's 2 beautiful cities over there, Eilat and Aqaba, which are recognized for their beaches. So it's, if you decide to do a tour with us, you can always extend, because as I've mentioned at the beginning, we do personalize everything. So you can choose to do a tour and extend your stay and stay, a couple of days and even a week and even 2 weeks at the beach there. It's just gorgeous. So coming back to the tour, let's say you would take that flight, 1 hour flight, would get there, it would stay there for 1 night, and the next morning you would cross the border to go to Petra, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. So you will get there, through the desert, and you will get with what you see on the screen. And what you see on the screen is as spectacular that if you would see it in person. So you see a little picture. How do you get there? It's stunning. Like, you would walk in that little small passage, and then at the end of it, you would see that big treasury. It's a treasury. So it's so beautiful. The size, the color, the feeling that you get there. It's a must seen in life, definitely. Next, so you would spend 1 day seeing Petra, but as you see, we have a 4th itinerary, which is Israel and Jordan. So if you decide to spend more days in Jordan, so we've got that tour where you would cross the border by car and no plane involved, and you would spend an extra 3 days in Jordan. Next. If you wish to do this by yourself, driving in Israel is safe. You will have no problem with this at all. if you wish to do so. So the roads are good. The sign are either international road sign, and as Gal mentioned, if not, you would see the sign in Hebrew, in Arabic, and English. There's no problem. And there's always somebody there to help you. As Gal said, they want to speak English, they want to practice English, they will be there to help you. So, you know, you can rent a car for the duration that you want, but we just always just put a package in place, 8 days, 7 night car rental. So that a price that includes accommodation in a 4-star hotel, 7 buffet breakfast. The enterprise, the price for entry is with a car type Kia Rio. Having said that, if you ask me what is the price today, this would be on our website in a couple of days, and we'll share the information with Merit Travel. But that's another way to definitely discover Israel if you wish to do so. So, you know, when you travel and you return home, there's, you know, you come back with beautiful memories, but you know what? There's certain places and sometimes certain moments that would mark you for life. And definitely Yad Vashem has been for me one of these visits and these moments. So Yad Vashem is considered to be the world primary Holocaust memoriam and museum. The number of 6 million that you see on the screen represents the number of Jewish people who perished in the Holocaust. So the museum that you see on the corner there occupies over 4,200 square meters and is mainly underground. Next, and tell the story of the Holocaust in the manner of a documentary representing by images and videos, and surely commemorate the death of the 6 million people. You know what? It's hard to visit Israel and not to recognize the impact of the Holocaust on the Jewish people, as well as the founding of Israel. The building itself, the spectacular building, because it's spectacular, in fact, was designed by a Canadian architect, Moshe Savdi. And for some of you might have been to Montreal at the Expo 67. He has created as well what we call here the Habitat 67. Next. When I visited Israel as well, one thing that in definitely if you take a tour with us, you're gonna do this. I really appreciated learning more about the kibbutz. The special life of the kibbutz is based on sharing all aspects, all in ways of life. So the kibbutzing is really a unique insight into the foundation of the state of Israel and the special condition. So surely for now it has changed because many kibbutz has been privatized, and in fact they are forefront of the culture and as well of the industry. But definitely with one of our tour, you would have the chance to experience and visit the kibbutz and you know what, to learn how the member did in the past and what they have done, the change that they have done to make it as it is now in the present. So there's so much to learn, and even though I have mentioned, you know, those special moments and those special places that are in my heart, I'm going to tell you, I just can't wait to go back to Israel. Personally, as I kept saying to Gal, I've been to Jerusalem, and everything he was saying, I just like felt it. And one of the things that I have not done when I was there, and do so when you go, and when you're going to be in Jerusalem, make sure you walk the fortification. That's something that has to be done. I didn't do it, but I think I did it on purpose. I just wanted to go back. So there's so much to see in Israel. People are so nice. They're so helpful. I just can encourage you to visit Israel. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. And thank you, Gail. Your photos were amazing and they definitely are inspiring. We don't actually have any questions, but this is one that often comes up on our other talks. And that is, what are the tour operators or the people operating the tours on the ground? What are they doing to keep our clients safe?
Well, for sure, you know, we always work, if I can, and if Gal wants to add, for sure, you know, being honest, when I've been there, I mean, people with who we work, maybe if I could start with this, we always make sure that we choose our partner very carefully, and we do that worldwide. In regards to Israel, I'm going to tell you, people are awesome, and they always go the extra stretch for our people. And if you're talking about security, I always felt very secure being in Israel. I have traveled with a group, but we had as well, if I could say, free time. And I was with my sister-in-law, and we walked in Tel Aviv, and we went and walked into the market, went to Jaffa, yeah, that's the witch, and we went to Jerusalem and walked by ourselves. And you know what? No problem. Always felt secure. No difference than other places wherever you go in the world, including people traveling and even us. I mean, you're just being careful at the time of the day that you walk at night to women. You won't do this, you know, after midnight, or you would be more careful or be sure that you are in a place where there's other people. So there's nothing different with Israel.
I would also add, moreover, that in regards of specifically the pandemic and what we call the new normal situation that we are soon to enter, hopefully, is that when we launched the domestic travel, and I referred to that earlier in the beginning of my presentation very shortly, and as someone who traveled a lot during this last, I would say, 2 months here in Canada, we really evolved in the way that we are promoting tourism and dealing with tourism when it comes to the domestic, and we are going to implement it in international travel as well. So for example, when it comes to the hotels, at the beginning, they closed all the buffet. And I don't know how familiar you are with the Israeli breakfast, but the concept in Israel is that you will eat breakfast that will last you for the rest of your day. It's a huge breakfast, tons of pastries, tons of different cheeses. You know, you can see the beginning of the table, but you can't see the rest of it. It's tons of food. And we were really concerned about how everyone that I approached asked me how would the Israeli breakfast would look like. So I'm happy to say that some of the hotel chains in Israel shared with us some images about how that they, at the beginning, they really closed the buffet, but now they give in everything in individual packages. So you can still have the great opportunity to experience the local cuisine, from shakshuka to hummus to tahini, everything in the breakfast buffet. And that's only one example. The rooms are being cleaned on a daily basis to make sure that everything is okay. And I can tell you that 40%, give or take, of the hotels have been reopened, and we have about 90% of occupancy rates. The Israelis are rushing into the hotels, and the hotels have been dealing with the pandemic and the sanitary regulations very seriously, because again, everyone wanted to understand how important it is that once the international travel will kick off, we can't go back to see a new outbreak of any kind of pandemic. So I can tell you that from all the testimonials that we got so far, people are feeling safe, people are feeling secure, people feeling that in the international travel is on the edge, just waiting keenly to come back to Israel.
Thank you. That does answer my question. Julian also has a question, and he's asking, is there a good time of year to visit?
So actually, the answer is easy. It's as soon as possible, first of all. I really say that because I know that everything is back to its original version. The nature has been rebuilt throughout this half year of nothing, and it's awesome. I'm telling you, it's completely amazing. But seriously speaking, it really depends on the motivation. For Jewish people, the holiday season in October would be a great opportunity to come. For Christian and pilgrimage, December or Easter, it's a great time to go. The best thing about Israel that the weather is great all year long. We have tourists that are coming in the middle of the Israeli winter to go to the sea. The Mediterranean temperature is ideal all year long. We have, and for you Canadians, you know, the Israeli winter is like your coldest summer day. That's how cold it is in Israel. We don't have a lot of cold days, especially not in the fall and the spring. But I would say that the Israeli summer between June and August, that's a little bit harsh on Canadians, I guess, because it's really hot. But then again, it's the ideal time of the year to go and to explore the Israeli desert, to go and bath in the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, the Sea of Galilee, or the Dead Sea. We have anything to do all year long. That's the great opportunity.
Okay. I think that's it for questions. Before we let Lena and Gal go, does anybody have any last minute questions that they'd like to ask us? In closing, Gal, do you have anything else? I know you've extolled all the virtues, but you know, if there's something that everybody must see or must do. Oh, and actually, sorry, Suzanne is asking, where is the best area for scuba diving?
Eilat. Eilat is actually the northern reef on the planet because of it's in the edge, really the end of the Red Sea, and it has an amazing reef, which people are coming from all over the world to scuba diving.
And in closing, is there anything special that you'd like to leave us with? Anything that is a definite must-see in Israel?
I think that Israel holds it all, from a rich history and culture to a culinary, all those trends that we addressed late in 2019 when we thought that 2020 is going to be another record year in world tourism. It has it all, for all ages, all year long, all the time. It's very easy to get to Israel today with direct flights from Montreal and Toronto. And I think that it gets you the opportunity to elevate any kind of trip. It's not only a leisure. You won't only go to a museum, even the Louvre. If you will go to the Louvre, you will see an amazing and extraordinary exhibits. In Israel, you can be part of the narrative, part of the story. You can actually dig some archaeological diggings in one of the places, if it's in Jerusalem, in Caesarea, wherever. You can have a great culinary experiences. You can have it in a great beach and sea and sun escape destination as well. So I think it's when you need to prioritize your trip needs, I think that Israel holds the ideal opportunity for anyone all the time.
And actually, there are some last minute questions coming in. Somebody's asking, Lena, would you recommend kids to travel on one of the tours?
Well, I would say, I don't know what is the age of the kids, you know, I mean, if we're talking teenager, I don't see any problem. If we're talking young kids, I think it's more a question of maybe would they be interested, you know, in everything that involved when we do the culture aspect of it. But I think as a parents, you know, your kids, you know, the way they're going and what you want them to kind of learn or assimilate. So I would say in that aspect, yes, they could. The thing with a tour, though, we don't know when at the time of booking how many people is going to be on the tour. So again, it might have a different impact, you know, traveling with kids, how you feel about that. But remember, we have private guided tour. So, you know, it might be something to consider, I would say, because definitely your private guide will adapt to the family and do it. So I would really recommend to look and ask the price for a private guided tour, and it will adapt. that's what I found too as well. I mean, when I did that, when I did the tour, when talking to people who have been doing the tour with us, the guides are phenomenal and they adapt, but definitely for a family, depending on the age of the kid, I would maybe consider a private guided tour.
Okay.
I will add shortly that in Israel, every site and destination has the family version. So, for example,
Yes.
Lina mentioned Masada. So in Masada, you can take the cable car, but I personally took the family and the kids over there, and we took the snake trail, which was the original Roman path, how they tried to conquer the mountain. So it's a more of a difficult, challenging kind of a trail that goes all the way up to the mountain. But again, it's only one example. In the old city of Jerusalem, you can have an accessible tour and you can have a regular, shorter trip. So I think that's, we can adjust. Israeli is adjustable for anyone all the time.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Thank you both for all of your time and for sharing those pictures. All the comments on the side here, that's what everybody's saying, that they were wowed by all the photos and great presentation. So thanks again.
Thank you too.
Thank you
Our
very
pleasure.
Can't wait to welcome you in Israel.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,